welcome to an episode of If We Do, a limited series podcast about love and relationships and staying together and maybe even breaking up. My name is JEREL, and I have my three lovely friends here. This is Kai, the woman who helped me get through college because I never did my homework, and I knew she always had it done.
Absolutely.
And I have Nakaya here, my friend since high school. I met her backstage at the Fox Theater, you know what I mean, doing Even the Fine Arts where all of the good singers and the good choirs went, you know what I mean, to show the city what we got. And the boys from King, my high school, went over to see, you know, what the girls from Renaissance, what she went was talking about. You know, we had to pull up on them, you know what I mean? And that's how I met Nakai. We went to college together. And then we have my good friend Sierra over here, you know what I mean? We also met in college, been kicking it and doing all of the things that friends do for as long as we've known each other. And I am very happy to have them here. Thank y'all for coming, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And just let y'all know, we're redoing the introduction because I forgot to hit record the first time we did it. So if we have to jump right now, it's because we're going to jump to where the sound starts. You know. All right, let's get into it.
The other part, the flips, you know, oftentimes men will be like, oh, I told a woman this and she threw it back up in my face, blah, 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 blah. Not blah, 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 I'm sorry. But we as women oftentimes, we go through so much, but we still give chances. I'll still open up to somebody to this day. Like, hey, I'm X, Y, and Z. I'm like this because of that. And whereas what you find with a lot of men is like, they experience something one time and it burns them forever.
And the crazy part about it is oftentimes it isn't even like, because you'll ask a guy like, what do you mean she threw it in your face? And when they start talking, the truth of the matter is she held him accountable. It wasn't that, because my thing is, can I acknowledge like your issue could be that you don't put the toilet seat down, right? Let's say your issue is you don't put the toilet seat down. I acknowledge that you have an issue with that. So I'm like, okay, I'm working with you on not having an issue with that. However, one day if I walk in the bathroom, my ass falls in the toilet because you didn't put the toilet seat down, and I respond to that, my thing is like, yes, we know you have a problem with putting the toilet seat down. However, that doesn't make you any less accountable for how you're moving forward. If you know that is an issue, you need to be working on that issue just as much as I need to be compromising while you work on that issue. It's not enough for you to just be like, oh, you know I have this issue, so deal with. That was probably a terrible analogy.
I'm about to say, because you should be looking before you sit down anyway. So,
but you know what?
Before you put your ass in the toilet, just take a look.
No, I get the
metaphor you trying to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can work with you while you work through this. However, my nigga, you have to do work too.
But that's the thing.
And you don't get to hurt me in the process.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Women do a lot more self-work than men.
Exactly.
We recognize where we lack. We recognize where we need the help. And once we do that work, we become better. It's just that, and we're all for it. And like myself, I'm all for therapy. I'm all for self-work. I'm all for shadow work. I'm for it all because I know where I lack and I know where I need to get better and how I want to be greater by doing these things. But men, it's just super taboo to them to even get to that point to be able to express it, those deeper feelings, even to a friend, especially a woman.
But friend, I think we're kind of.
I don't like the blanket statement.
Yeah, I was
don't say men. I don't like the blanket statement of like putting all men in one category.
But that's the thing.
It's majority though.
It's
not a lot of
I think, and we can only speak to our experiences. So of course, I have a therapist. I have a therapist, a psychiatrist. I got it all. So like, I understand that. Like, and I'm not offended by it, even though I do go to therapy. But I understand, like, and I think it's important for people to understand in conversations like these, we are talking more so in general and from our own experiences and our own perspective. So,
because all of my friends are doing the work, but that's what they say, birds of a feather flock together. So I'm not surprised that I'm surrounded by women who are moving forward. But I do have friends, guy friends, who are like, these women ain't shit. And it's like, how? When my first reaction is how? Like, because I'm surrounded by these amazing women.
It's a whole
but I don't realize that it is the other side.
It totally is.
Yeah, it is the other side.
I always think it's about like 12 people in our friend group.
Yeah.
And one person in a relationship.
One person in a relationship. That is wild.
12 educated.
That's because y'all done went got y'all degrees and now y'all think y'all.
No.
All right, so now we talked about what y'all look for when you're getting into a relationship. Y'all said like a feeling. So tell me, how do you know when it's time to let go of the relationship, time to let go of the person? How do you know?
When you lose yourself.
Ooh.
What does that mean?
When you no longer can recognize any of the things that made you you, when you start conforming to their ways more than your own ways, and you're just too willy nilly to what they're doing and how they move. You no longer, your values and your morals are no longer yours. They're now all theirs.
Compromise.
Yeah, you compromise entirely too much to where you don't really know yourself anymore.
When I'm out, when I'm more peaceful when I'm not with you.
Yeah, that's
like, and that's another thing people have, like, these days, we're not leaving men for other men. We're leaving men for peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if my peace,
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, I was so not content, like actually happy with my single life that I had to tell my therapist, like, I'm getting scared because I'm like, I'm enjoying singleness so much that I may never want to be in a relationship again.
What's wrong with that, though? Why is that a bad thing?
She helped me work through figuring out that is not a bad thing, but I was worried about it because I'm like, damn, my single life is popping. Like, I'm happy. I don't have to worry about nobody tripping. I can get eggplant when I want to. Like, it's like you just feel, I didn't want to say, bad words, but, it's like, you get, so I'm traveling the world, I'm meeting new people, I'm experiencing, my career is flourishing, my friends are flourishing, my hair is growing. Then you get in a relationship, your shit falling out. It's like, it gets wild, like, so it's like when my peace is being compromised, like, because my peace means a lot to me. When my peace is being compromised, I got to go. I got to go. And I'm not afraid to let it go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you got anything for that?
I would just say, because oftentimes I feel like we experience this thing where a person shows up in the beginning, they're doing all of these things. I was getting ready, your previous question, I was going to chime in, but I have a group of friends. We talk about like this, your big boxes, like checking off your big boxes. What a person display or have, or what do you think is important? So like, oh, this person must be patient. This person must be like this. And then you have these little boxes that's like, oh, those are negotiable. It's not necessary, but okay. And I think once an individual stops checking off those big boxes, whether it's when they showed it when they came in, or, they're no longer displaying those things, then you have to start considering what's next, especially at our age. I feel like when we were in our early 20s, you give people leeway on a lot of things. Being in your 30s is different. It's like you don't have time to waste, really. Especially if you want marriage, if you want kids. I'm sorry, the biological clock, it's a thing. And so you don't have, and I still give grace. Don't get me wrong, because I still draw back to the whole thing of like, not everybody has been exposed to love and all of that different type of stuff. But in giving grace, you just have to know, like, once this person stop checking off those boxes, or they, you bring it to their attention and they ignore it, then it's time to start considering other things.
And C is a grace giver. Like, she's a great, that's what we and I are. We're very opposite. Because my whole thing is like, I personally feel like certain people, if you can't deal with certain situations, you should not be dating. Like, for me, if you cannot understand your emotions, if you cannot effectively communicate it, I'm not saying because everybody has an off day. Everybody has a day where they make a mistake, or everybody has a day where they lash out or do something they're not necessarily proud of. But if certain things as a person, it doesn't matter who you're dating, certain things as a person, if you cannot do a few things or work through certain things, it's like, I personally feel like you should not be dating.
Like what? Give me an example.
Effective communication.
That's
if you don't know how to because I personally feel like most issues can be resolved, even if it's breaking up. Most issues can be resolved with effective communication. So if you don't know how to have a conversation, like it took one, y'all know when we was in college, I had a boyfriend he was a bit angry. And I learned in that relationship.
That doesn't narrow it down.
You see my face, raggy?
Wait a minute. I'm trying to. Okay,
not at all, friend.
I'm trying right now.
All right, finish. I'm sorry.
Telling secrets. All right, give me some more of this Bel Air. We're going to get to secret telling. But yeah, like, I had a relationship where, like, there was a lot of, like, arguing. And it was kind of like, like arguing where it's to the point, like, voices get raised. And I realized, like, it was triggering for me, like, this is wild. Because in my house, we didn't have a lot of yelling, so I didn't really understand that. So now, as an adult, and when I'm in my relationships, we can debate, But like, I don't even like to argue. Like, we don't even need to be yelling. Like, if we can't have a civilized conversation, then we don't need to be. And so, effective communication. Because my thing is, once we get to the point where we're arguing, nobody's listening. Everybody's just yelling, and then somebody gonna say some shit they don't mean, and then it just get uglier and uglier.
Yeah,
you know?
I remove myself before I get there. Like
That's what
I don't
I'm
even.
saying.
I don't argue. Like I said what I said type person. If you have something to say back, fine, I'll listen. But I'm not gonna go back and forth. Like for what?
For what? Because at this point,
You
nobody's
know.
listening.
That's
Right.
interesting. I found that out about myself. A couple triggers for me are like nagging. Like that's gonna make me shut down. And also I think I was used to like a certain level of fussing. Like my mom would yell at me like in a fussing way. Like, you know what I mean? Why you ain't do this? And like that is also like like, no, that's not like you can't have that in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like so now like if I'm getting nagged, if I feel like I'm being nagged or like a lot of fussing, like that makes me like it just makes me just turn off. You know what I mean? Like turn off my mind, check out, I should say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I don't necessarily need to check out, but I need to communicate that
It's
Don't
an
do
issue
that.
for me.
like this, I can't
Yeah.
do this right now.
Oftentimes, we're able to point out things that don't work for us, and I challenge people to point out things that do work for you. So if you know nagging does not work for you, you need to tell your partner, like, okay, nagging doesn't work for me, but if you come at me like this,
Yeah.
I will be receptive to it. So it's like certain things like, but again, that comes from self-awareness. If you don't
Yeah.
know yourself first,
you're not gonna know how to.
then
talking
you're not
right.
going to know how to say that. You're not
talking
going
right.
to know like, hey, because I can easily tell somebody, listen, these are the things I don't respond to. But it's easier for me to tell them like, hey, but I do respond well to bags.
All right. All right.
But you know what's crazy? Prior, I used to like to tussle a little.
Really?
We were young and crazy.
I used to
have
like
never
to
been
tussle
crazy.
because I felt like I would allow you just to keep saying what you wanted to say because I'm a very reserved person.
Until you're not.
Until I'm not, absolutely. But
That
if you
part.
keep saying something and I'm just like, okay, yeah. When it gets to that point and I blow up, oh
over.
baby, it's over. Listen, we're gonna at this point let's just fight.
You tussle.
Because I don't want
And she
to
needs
talk
that, too.
anymore. And I literally want to fight. Like, put your hands up, let's go. Like literally, and that was something like no, because I mean I grew up in a very domestic household, you know, and I thought that was normal. But then how it made me feel, I'm like, this is not normal.
So by domestic, do you mean like violence? Or
Very much so.
Really?
Very much so. I won't disclose too much.
No. You know.
But it was certain things that I seen between parents was not normal for children to see.
Yeah, which has such a huge impact, man. Like what children see, pardon me, especially what they see regularly, they internalize as normal. You know what I mean?
That's why now.
Or you grow up thinking that's love.
Yeah, and that's what I did. Like I just thought that, you know, you kind of
We supposed to tussle.
being super tussle and being super and I hate this word too, but submissive to your mate and almost doing everything that they told you to do was right. Not having your own voice. You know what I'm saying? So I think that now it looks totally different for me. Like, oh, you want to argue? Scat pack. I'm out.
Scat
I mean,
pack.
granted, so okay, so
Take your time.
yeah. I don't like to argue, but and I always use this. I say when you're in a relationship, you have two different people coming into one world. And so those things are going to happen. You cannot avoid it. If y'all not arguing or having a debate, and when I say argue, I mean like you do a little bickering. Like I said what I said. You got something to say? Okay, we're going to have a conversation. But it's bound to happen. You know what I mean? You can't get away from it. Even outside of romantic relationship, your friendships, like you're gonna have a debate. Like we all are different. We're all put together different.
Right.
So
Me and this
yeah,
one here.
yeah, it's this one.
She,
It's this one. I
she
promise
always got
you.
something to say. Nigga, ain't nobody ask you.
I
Whatever.
promise
Nobody asked
you.
your ass nothing.
And y'all,
But it's like
y'all been
sometimes-
stuck with me for years though, so obviously it's going well.
But, you know, just because there's an argument or a disagreement doesn't mean that's the end all be all. You know what I mean? You turn those arguments into something healthy and you have those healthy conversations to figure out what works and what does not work. And so yeah, that's my point on arguing.
All right, so you mentioned earlier, Sierra, big boxes and little boxes. I want y'all to give me 3 of y'all big boxes, like 3 of the things
Hold
that
on,
check off.
I got it in my phone.
So you
That's
said,
funny.
Oh my God.
Okay,
so
so
I
you talked about
definitely have
earlier.
it
You
in
said
my
like
phone.
the big things are the non-negotiables in the relationship. Those are the big boxes, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me what 3 of y'all big boxes, and then give me like petty. Give me some of y'all petty small boxes too. You know what I mean? But definitely 3 of the big boxes.
Definitely got a few petty ones.
Go ahead. No,
Brad.
you can start. Go
What's
ahead.
your big boxes, Brand?
I know for sure my one because this is something that has come up before. Making me a priority. That's a big box for me. You can't prioritize everything in the things that you have a passion for, whether it be family, sports, career. You can't prioritize all of that stuff and then put me at Z and give me the leftovers and
Correct.
then still think that you are a priority. I'm not.
It's all good. Like,
You may have to sacrifice a game. I don't know what you need to sacrifice.
Figure it out.
But you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice. And so that's a big box for me because I'm going to make sacrifices for you.
Yeah.
Period. If I'm into you, sacrifice is going to be made.
Whether I want to or not.
I'll move a mountain. And so I expect the same thing in return. And that's a huge box. Like, me being a priority and you showing me that I'm a priority, that's a huge box for me.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest box now is security. And then that security is like a couple of different things. Like, one, security within yourself. I tend to date alpha males. Say what I said.
We can come back to that because alpha male is not a real thing.
What?
It's not a real thing.
Beg
bro.
to
That's
differ.
something
Now, if
that-
you want to call it something else, we could call it something
that white
else.
people have made up.
But I tend to date, and what I mean by I tend to date alpha males. But what I find is that some alpha males are only alpha when they're in a room of subordinates, or they're only alphas when they're in the room where they're the biggest, where they're the top of the pyramid.
Oh, because this one going to challenge you.
And when you get into a room where, and that could be in different subjects, like you can be the alpha male in one particular subject of life. You could be the alpha male in cooking or something, right? But when it comes to our relationship, if I'm more financially responsible, then I'm the alpha in that. So security, like if you're gonna beat your chest and claim to be this top dog alpha male,
Do y'all really like that though?
I do.
I don't understand that.
Love
Like,
it.
I think
Nah,
to a certain
bruh.
extent.
I love it when it's done correctly.
I was like, 'cause
gotta
most times I
flex
feel like
you
dudes.
don't have to flex that you're the man.
That's
like,
what I'm
just
saying, like-
moving your actions.
No, that's not real alpha male though.
I guess that's what I think about.
It's
You
not
know
a
what
real
I mean?
alpha male.
Like it's those like
you don't have to walk and I hate
corny
that term.
dudes who are, you know what I mean? Like
No.
I don't know, just like
No.
want to be that guy. You know what I mean? And if you gotta
Okay.
do all of that
You're
to be
talking
that
about
guy,
something
you're
totally
not it.
different because that's fake.
That's
That's
a
fraudulent.
cornball.
Yeah, that's a cornball.
All right,
That's
what I
like
was thinking about.
the person who I'm talking about is the person who does not have to walk in a room and say anything.
Okay.
Their presence is
Fair
like
enough.
their presence is a present. Like their presence, you're gonna feel their presence without them saying anything. So that is, but however, if you are that type of man, you have to be actually secure in that. Like you have to have real security in that. Like you have to have real confidence in who you are. I don't want to every time I say something, you to feel challenged. If I disagree with something like, oh, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z, and I'm like, well, let's, maybe we did that last time, and I say something, you automatically feel challenged. It's like, why? Are you feeling challenged just because I have a difference of opinion, or just because I have something to say? Like,
I mean, but that's what alphas do. Anybody that challenges them in the pack,
that's not true.
there's
Alpha
not
knows
there's not
when
room for a challenge.
People who and maybe I shouldn't use the word alpha male because
That's what Jarrell said though.
Yeah.
So what should I call it then? I guess to
I
me
don't
that
know.
was
I
the
think-
only word that I could come up
I guess
with.
I think what
Just a confident man? Maybe I should say that.
yeah, confident,
Confident,
comfortable. You know what I mean? And a person who it sounds like you're saying a person who's sure of themselves.
Right, a person who is confident, because part of being a leader is also knowing when to follow.
Correct.
So it's like be that. If you are a leader, you know when to also back down and be like, okay, this person may know more about this than I do, or this person may have more to contribute to this than I do. Like, so being able to be secure in that and not feeling belittled because you have to take a step back.
Okay. So what's y'all gave me one, so just give me your biggest of the boxes, the big box.
I don't know if mine.
It's so many. Lord. You have to be teachable.
You got to be teachable. Okay,
Oh, that was a good one, Kyle.
that is a good one.
Wait, what do you mean by teachable though?
What's our petty box?
Like,
I want to hear the petty box.
I definitely got a petty box.
That list is actually longer than the big box.
And when I say you have to be teachable, is that you can't really know it all. Your way isn't just the only way. You have to be able to learn things every day. You should be learning, and you should be applying it to your life to become better. So if you're not doing that, then that's kind of a deal breaker for me.
So what's y'all petty box?
Wait, what's your big box?
y'all
What's
supposed
my
to say.
big box? My big box, I think, has always been ambition. Like somebody with vision. You know what I mean? I need you to be a hustler and whatever it is, you know.
Yes, honey.
Because I'm really ambitious. You know what I mean? And I have vision, I have plans. And so somebody who doesn't have that generally won't understand.
Yeah.
Won't understand the sacrifices that I make. Won't understand the crazy hours, the crazy schedule. You know what I mean? A lot of times people just don't understand that. You know what I mean? So you gotta have some of that. You know what I mean?
That's understandable.
I wanted to challenge that, but I'm not going to.
Go ahead. No, I'm open to it.
I mean, my thing is, as long as you, again, priorities.
See what I'm saying?
As
That's what I was
long
gonna
as you
say.
make time for me, baby,
Oh, yeah, so-
I know you out hustling and
'Cause if you're
bustling. I'm fine with that.
If you're ambitious, that ambition has to show up across the board. So just like your ambition about your career, your ambition should also show up in your relationship.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm not in a space anymore. At least I think when I was younger, that prevented me from being or staying in certain relationships. But I'm at a space now where it's like I do understand that I want to be married at some point, and I do want to build eventually. And you know, it's like I know how to prioritize that. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm into you, I have no problems making you a priority. Like I was talking about this on the episode with my
You said that
uncles.
with passion.
Yeah, I
You
know.
dating a girl?
Cause he means
I don't
it.
got no problem.
Like, who you dating?
I can go 100%. You know what I mean? And that's generally my problem. I've talked about this before. Either I'm in it 0% or 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I
I feel like
mean?
I feel like you've always that's always been a character.
All right now.
No,
All right.
no,
Let's
that's
stop
good.
right there.
But that has
Stop it right there.
I'm just saying, I feel like that has always been a characteristic of you. Like either in and you're like either
That's
in
me.
and going full force,
Yes.
or you're like this shit's stupid. So,
And
yeah.
that's real, you know what I mean? And I'm learning that that's not the healthiest thing. Again, I've said it before, but I recognize that, you know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. But me being an ambitious person, that I generally don't have a problem with making whoever I'm dating a priority. You know what I mean? Especially because generally they understand the work that I do or the goals or the dreams that I'm after, you know what I mean, the things that I have to do. So I have had problems before, but you know what I mean, generally, you know. it's
So
fine.
what's your petty box?
What's my petty box?
You can be petty.
I can't date no girl that can't walk in heels. That's for sure.
Ooh.
I can't
That's not
do it.
petty.
I can't do it.
That's
I feel
not
like-
petty.
Look at Kai.
Kai, is that petty?
Directly at Kai, like, hold on.
I can
Kai,
walk
is
in
that
heels.
no? Kai, is that petty?
We're not gonna put my friend out there.
Honestly, no. And something like that would never offend me. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I can't
know who
walk.
you
I
are.
know who I am.
I've seen you
Now-
in heels before.
I have, but you probably never seen me walk off.
Right on.
It's only for a very limited time. I am very comfortable in all of my sneakers. Like,
Yeah.
baby.
I'm not saying the girl has to wear sneakers all the time,
No.
but if we go into
I'll
a
occasionally-
ball or a certain type of
Yeah.
occasion, I need you to show up how I'm gonna show up.
No,
you know what I'm
Kai
saying?
definitely walking into her Pradas, bro.
Period.
Like, it's over.
Some of them like them high.
No,
Nike
the
shoes.
thing is, I'll walk in with you with my heel, but please know there is a Jordan Air One on that gown
On
because
it.
those are not gonna stay on long. So, but I'm very confident in that because I know that my sneaker game is super
Oh,
mean.
It
my
is,
God.
and you also ain't gonna be walking around like no goddamn fucking camel when you got them on. Either.
No, because I'll have on my gym shoes.
So that's one. What's
Touche.
another? What's another petty one of mine? I think
Oh, this is mine.
bad,
I'm sorry.
bad hair. I was gonna say like bad wig, bad weave.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
Unknown
gotta get
caller.
this out. You cannot wear
Oh my God.
Here she
White
go.
socks
Here go
with
Big
black
Big.
shoes.
You
That's teachable though. Like you can teach.
You
somebody
can,
that.
but the thing is, and
There's
I am.
information in that.
It is, but
There's information in that.
It is.
black shoes and white socks is the hugest turn off for me, and I am not by any means like superficial when it comes to materialistic things anymore. But for some reason, before I look at a guy's face, I look at his feet. And that's gonna let me know
She's so irritated.
if I'm gonna allow him to approach me. And if I see you with black shoes and white socks,
This is funny because she does this.
no, like
you do it to
absolutely.
your friend.
And I feel like that's super shallow of me to do that because you might be
Phenomenal.
phenomenal and a guy that I have been praying. God, my
Hard
Sierra
for
prayer.
it.
But if he got on Skechers, it's
Baby.
over. He could beat feet.
Listen, you gotta Billie Jean. You have to go, and I know that's super petty, but I can't. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. No.
Yeah.
So you couldn't date a guy if he had on some U.S. Polo Association shoes?
Oh my God, she would fry his ass.
No. I'm sorry, and no offense to anyone who wears those. Those are lovely shoes.
You're
I'm
lying.
sure they give you a great arch and they are comfortable, but just per se, that's just not my style.
And if y'all hear
Sorry,
Kai's
Jingles.
jingles.
that's my jingles. Sorry, it's not Christmas time yet.
My petty has to do with dressing too because I cannot date a man who cannot dress.
Oh my
well,
God.
let me not say who cannot dress, but again, it goes back to what Kai was saying about being
no
teachable.
style. I can't.
He has to be. If he can't dress, that's
Oh,
fine.
that's a turn off.
But you have to be teachable. I have to be able to. You have to be willing to be like, all right, babe, I know I can't dress. Help me out. Like you got to be able to do that. Now, I don't mind a person having their own style because a guy I just got a relationship with, like he has his own, like he's country, so he had his own very distinct country ass style. But he had his own style and it was his and it looked good on him. So I didn't bother him about that. But if you just have no sense of style, that's definitely like my petty. And you don't even have you don't have to be dripped in designer. You definitely don't have to be dripped in designer, but you gotta know how to put some shit together.
I've had to teach style before.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I won't say I had to teach style. I had to teach effort.
That's
Damn,
different.
you had to teach a woman effort?
All I'm saying is,
That's different.
All I'm saying is like,
Dang, I
yeah,
want to do somebody
listen.
feel like that about
No,
me
no.
because
because
y'all
it's
see this
easy to
top
just
knot.
y'all see this top knot. It's easy to just like throw on some sweatpants. You know what I mean? And that's fine. You know what I mean? But just put on
Where's the effort, honey?
just add a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it ain't nothing too crazy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
Like, yeah,
No.
just,
Yeah.
you know, but it's a petty one, so it's cool. Sierra, give me yours.
That's not really that petty though.
That's crazy. Y'all sitting up here talking. I'm like, wow, I ain't got no petty box.
she
I need
gives grace.
I need you to check all of them because I give the grace.
She gives grace.
I do. I really do.
They love
Like
that
I overextend on the grace. And so and my friends know, like because I overextend on the grace and I've given you multiple chances,
When it's over.
once your time is up, your time is up.
So what if he never heard of the periodic table of elements? You know what I mean? You're a scientist. You know what I mean?
I don't Bro, first of all,
'Cause if that's the case, none
look,
of us
I
is
landed
friends.
there on some central. You know what? We'll talk about this on another podcast. I mean, if he doesn't know, I feel like people are experts in their own thing. I don't know. Somebody can come to me and talk about stocks and bonds, and I'm be like, I'm interested in it, but I couldn't tell you nothing about the candlestick, the candle chart, green, red. You know what I mean? Like, I heard of it, which, you know, most people would probably say about the periodic table, like, I heard of it, but I can't tell you nothing that's on it. So I'm not that person. Like, I don't want to say I'm a nerd, but
Definitely a nerd.
I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, at work, they be want to talk about it at lunch break. I'm like, bro, what's on Instagram or something? Like, I ain't trying to talk about that. So yeah, but because I give so much grace, it's hard for me to be like, anything is petty. You know? If that makes sense. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
I got another petty one too.
Okay, go ahead.
Bad draws.
Hey, I got a tip for
Like
the fellas
holy
out there.
draws.
Fellas,
No, not holy. Just like poor quality.
What?
Like poor
Nah, yeah, that's
like,
petty.
Or like like draws you've had for years that you just like.
But see, I feel like a man,
It's like
if a
throw
man
them
knows how
away.
to dress, he knows the quality of draws.
I mean,
That's all
I got
do.
some draws that's been around
Like,
for a
your
while.
guy
I ain't
gotta
gonna
wear
lie.
Ithaca.
I ain't gonna lie. Like, but what this is my recommendation. I'm just throwing out this for any fellas listening, watching, whatever.
You got a recommendation for draws?
I do. Fenty, the Savage.
Oh,
They about like $7, but they legitimate. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that cotton is something
go
special.
go
It's
ahead and
soft.
get you some Fenty draws, bruh. Don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Shameless plug. Shout out to Super Bowl Ree. You know what I mean?
Cause I be thinking like, when I look at my guys, what would Fab do?
Big
Oh,
meat strikes
he would hire his fiance to style him. That's what he
Fab
would do.
wouldn't do that.
Fab
So,
would, yeah.
Emily wouldn't do that. Is what you mean?
Hey,
So you got to be
that's
Emily.
where Kai comes in.
There
Kai
you go.
would-
There you
Kai
go.
wouldn't
I
do
feel
that.
like I got a lot of petty shit that I do be thinking about, and I'm just like,
It do be petty.
it's so much petty things
It
that I'm
is.
just like, he such and such.
And so you don't think that shows up in your relationship in a real way?
Not like in certain petty things. Do I think it shows up in my relationships?
Yes.
You know what? Okay, let me tell you one thing that I had to this just happened last year. No, year before last year. One thing I had to be honest with myself about. I used to be the kind of girl who used to be like, I would date any man no matter how much they make. Right? I used to be
I
like,
do remember you saying that. And
Yeah, I
I
used
do
to
remember
date-
thinking in my head, that's some bullshit.
right. So it came to me being honest with myself. Like I used to be like, like, and that's a black girl thing because black women have been taught so long that we're not supposed to be happy about living luxury lives or having luxury lives and blah 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 blah. So it's like for a long time I was like, no, if a guy doesn't make what I make, then that's fine. He could just, as long as he is financially stable, he could take blah blah blah. And I had to have a real conversation with myself, like, nah.
Because you like nice things.
You have a limit. You got a limit. Like you have to start having and that was really hard for me to admit. It was really hard for me to admit. It was really hard for me to say for myself because I felt like I was being.
You don't want to. I was getting ready to say you don't want to seem shallow.
You don't want to seem shallow.
But you're really not. You're not being shallow.
Right. You're not being shallow.
I thought
the world
that too.
would make you think you're
They
being
would,
shallow.
It would definitely make you think
It
that,
would
but
eat
you
you
are not
up.
shallow because everybody, you have to have your standards.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
And
So,
standards are not questions. They're periods. They're not question marks. They're periods.
okay. All right. So I got one last thing before we get out of here. I want to know what y'all would give. If y'all had to give a piece of advice about men, about relationships to, let's say a 25-year-old or a girl or a woman in her early 20s, what would that advice be?
Effort matters.
Mm-hmm.
Effort will take you far. Honesty will take you far, and be patient. You know what I mean? Oftentimes we look for things. We live in a microwavable society. We want instant gratification. Just be patient. You know what I mean? Like I said, effort goes a long way. If I see that you're trying, that means a lot. You know what I mean? Patience, a lot. If you see that person has those potential, now it gets tricky when it comes to potential. But if a person is displaying certain qualities and they're following through on their actions, then I would say, stick it out. 25, you got a little wiggle room. 32,
Baby.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're gonna do.
I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah, effort, patience, and what was the third thing I said? Yeah, that.
That's good. That's good. That's good stuff.
Go ahead, guys. Come back to me.
Again, actions. Believe people for who they are.
Ooh.
Yes, when a person show you who they are, believe them.
Don't ignore red signs.
First time.
Because once you run that first stop sign, you're gonna keep running.
Six Flags.
You're gonna keep running. And you're gonna keep running it. And you're gonna keep running it. Don't ever lose yourself to conform to someone else. Learn how to love you first, so that you can teach someone else how to love you. Have fun. Don't be committed too fast. Don't compare. Because we live in a society where we compare a lot. And don't do that because you'll steal the joy of the moment. So live it up. Have fun.
Social media ruined everything.
It did.
Yeah. We're
People.
microwavable generation.
Yeah.
You said 25?
Or just early 20s. Let's
Early
just say
20s?
early 20s.
Okay, if I was talking to, I have a cousin who's early 20s. Don't date. Don't get in a committed relationship. At 25, don't get in a committed relationship. At 25, I hate to say this to people, and this is, I don't care if you started a business, because people think because they started a business, they know everything. But I don't care what you think. Like at 25, you are still getting to know yourself. And I think that you can save yourself. A lot of the work that I'm doing now is work that I'm doing to reverse damage that was done at a time when I did not know myself.
Absolutely.
So at the age of 25, I think you shouldn't really start seriously trying to date until you're like 26, 27. That would literally be my advice. That's when you seriously should start dating. Until then, date around, but not committed. Like, really use that time to get to know, like, what works for you, what type of men work for you, what type of situations work for you. Really get to know who you are. Because, like Kai alluded to, like, you know, you teach people how to love you by how they see you love yourself. The things that they see you accept, the things that they see you turn away from, or the things that they see you commit to, those are the things that they're going to bring into your life. So if you don't yet know how to love yourself, you cannot teach someone how to love you. So use those early 20 years to really become self-aware, learn who you are, and then go from there. And I think it'll be a lot easier. You'll find yourself probably married by 30, 32.
Don't do that.
For real.
That applies to men too.
I would
Yeah,
say
me
my advice
too.
is actually don't put any timelines on yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
oh my
be-
goodness. Yes.
Live your life.
Live your life.
Travel. Oh my God.
I mean, like, because there are expectations. You know what I mean? Like, even right now, I got my homeboys and my friends that are married, have children. You know what I mean? Great job. I be having conversations like, man, like I can't wait to be in that space, and they're like, nah,
Yep.
I can't wait to be in
Yep.
your space. Like I was like,
Yep.
don't even worry about it, bro.
I tell my friends all the time now, take your time. Just take your time. Like, don't get me wrong, I love being a mom, but it's a difference between wanting kids and actually wanting to be a parent. Those are two totally different entities.
Yeah.
Because once you're in it, and you're in it for the long haul. So
Ain't nobody to tag you out.
no, not at all.
And it don't stop at 18 years. And
It
I ain't got
don't.
no kids. Not know that.
Because I'm in my 30s and my mother still does for me as if I'm a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it never stops, but don't rush it. It's gonna come. Just don't rush it.
That's what she said.
Enjoy the
Girl, please.
That's what she
Spare me.
said.
No, that's real. That's good stuff. That's
yeah,
good stuff.
it is. Like, don't just keep, like, really just be like, you know what can I do to make myself be more progressive?
Yes.
Like, we're not, and I don't think any of us are saying be irresponsible and
Right,
reckless.
yeah.
None of us are saying, like, have goals.
I mean, do that a little bit. I think there's a little room for that.
It's definitely
It's
some
definitely
fun
room
and
for
being
that.
a little, you
That's
know.
like, boy,
Yeah,
we
because
got
you don't want to get
stories.
old. Because often, like, I've gone out and I've seen like these older people in the club with me. I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Like, did these people miss out on life when they were younger, and so now they're trying to get that time back? And
But what
so,
if that's the life they want to live?
come on now,
No, for real. What if that's
not
the life they
a
wanna live?
60 or 70-year-old in a club with 30-year-olds.
I thought you said you give grace. Yeah.
No.
Grace has a
At
stop
that
point.
I'm like, bro,
Grace
take me
gets
to
off
bingo,
here.
Right.
Take me to
movies.
bingo.
At 60 or 70, I did not want to be party. I would party with other 60 and 70-year-olds, but not 30-year-olds. It's just for what?
All right, I gotta tell y'all something before we get out of here.
Oh my God.
I forgot to hit record on the first couple questions. So we just gonna cut this and we're gonna be jumping right into a conversation when we start this, all right? But yeah, my bad.
Wait,
What?
No, we got over 40 minutes here. All right, we got most of it. But I would say the first like question or
I
two.
see you hit
I didn't
record
put-
too.
yeah.
You son of a gun.
I was looking. I played
we
it cool
gave
though. I
Was
played
it
it.
good
I played it
content?
cool.
Like,
I played
I
it
feel
cool.
like the first couple questions were probably good content.
They were, and we have sound from the cameras, so we'll see what
So
we
now
can
we
do.
got it.
But I'm just keeping it real with y'all, so y'all know now. You know what I mean? My bad. I didn't remember.
You want to do them all?
Jarrell,
Pressing
we're
stop.
giving you grace.
We're gonna give
Look
you
at
grace
that.
She's giving
tonight.
you grace. Do you want to do the shit over?
No, we don't got to. We got